Good evening, everyone. I'm Ellen Sutter of ESP Presents and ESP Book Chats, where we bring journalists your way. Tonight, our guest is Brian W. Smith, and we're talking about his book. I have it on Kindle, but Disjointed Custody. As I said, first, do tell people about you, anything you want them to know about you, your readers, and the backdrop to this book. Amazing book, I'll say.
Well, thank you. I'm Brian W. Smith. I've been writing now for 17 years. Disjointed Custody is a book that I wrote last year, beginning of last year. I think it's like my 32nd novel. It is a book that I've been trying to get to for about 3 or 4 years, and I just didn't have the time. But I've been doing this long enough to know that if you don't write the book, somebody else will come along and write a similar book. So in order to make sure that I got the book out there and that, I didn't look up one day and it was already on the shelf and someone had written a similar book, I decided to go ahead and get a co-author. So I reached out to Elaine Flowers, best-selling author Elaine Flowers. Elaine and I go back over a decade. She was the first person I signed to my publishing company, Holly Grove Publishing, back in 2008, 7, up in there somewhere. And reached out to Elaine. We wrote the book. She wrote the female part, Melissa, and I wrote the male part, Ryan. And we just kind of alternated, went back and forth, and there you have it. Disjointed Custody. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to write the modern day Black version of Kramer versus Kramer.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that old movie from the 1970s with Dustin Hoffman and I forget the name of the white female actress that's just phenomenal. Anyway, I wanted to do a modern day version of that. And we came up with this idea to have a situation where both parties thought that they were right, thought that they were the better parent for this child. But at the same time, each person had an issue with the other person's lifestyle. And the mother was diagnosed as bipolar, was on meds, the whole shebang, clinical depression. She had her medical baggage. And the father had his lifestyle, societal baggage, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
He was caught cheating with another man, and then after the divorce, he shacked up with that man. But the father was had a very, very good job and had made more money than the mother. And bottom line is, they both felt that they were better suited to be the primary caregiver for this child. And in order to get what they wanted, they would do anything to get sole custody. That's the premise of the book. It's kind of like Kramer versus Kramer meets War of the Roses, if you remember that movie from back in the day.
Yeah. Brian, what you did for me as a female reader, you brought out all kinds of emotion. I was hot when I first started reading it. I was so mad. Not only do a woman, she, finds her man cheating on a woman, you can, as a woman, and just like Elaine wrote in there, as a woman, you do feel, not that you feel better, but it's easier to swallow that it is a female versus a male. And I'll just speak for myself. I'm not speaking for every woman, but for myself, I just felt like it was something that I couldn't come back from. and be, like she said, humiliated in there. Not that you lost your husband to a woman, but you lost him to a man that seems like no competition and no coming back from. And then I'm looking at all men and trying to examine all men. So, you know, what does being gay look like? What does being straight look like? And all these different things play in your head, because she did dab a little bit in a relationship. But what got me the most is when they got together, Sheryl and Ryan. And you know how we always look for a title in a relationship. You introduce your girl to someone, but you give them a title, whether this is my girlfriend, or this is my boo, or this is my fiance.
Right.
And so early on in the story, Melissa didn't really get, like, you know, his family wanted, you know, when she found out she was pregnant, we're gonna give some small bits stillers, that the dad said to marry her. He really didn't want to marry her. He knew what was up, and he battled with his sexuality. But it seemed like to me as a reader, again, I speak for myself, that he gave Sheryl that title so quick. And this is the time when it, you know, it's time for him, for Sheryl to meet his daughter, because he wants to Suni to know the dynamics of their family is going to be a little bit different. And so reading the book now and knowing that we do have families in this society now that does have different dynamics. You see a woman with a ring on, you think she's married to a male. She could very well be married to a girl. So you cannot assume that her mate is of you know, opposite sex.
Not in 2021.
Yeah. So I was looking at that and I was like, you know, what is he going to say to this child when they get together? And how is he going to introduce him? And so it was like, it was the truth, but I see this 8-year-old, she gets the truth, you know, how he introduced him. And then you play it out to when she goes back home. Sheryl, I don't know if I was supposed to like Sheryl, but what made me like him was his character. That's a man that I would like to ride or die with the type of character he has. I really liked his character. It wasn't, it's so hard. It's I just can't put it into words because it's a lot of emotion there. But I saw him as a man, not just as I didn't look at a gay man. I saw a man with fatherly-like potentials, with one that could really father a child.
One of the things, you know, when I decided to write this book, look, I could have kept it simple. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. At this point, to be quite honest with you, Ellen, I'm at a point now where sometimes I just feel I need to be challenged. And I've often written books with gay characters in them, but they're usually books written in third person, so they're pieces on a chessboard. You know what I'm saying? They're talked about. This is the first time writing a book where I wrote a gay character in first person. So it was my goal to write this character in such a way that the reader can see that this is a man just like any other person. It's a human just like any other person. His partner is human just like any other person. And rather than create them to be these type of caricatures, I wanted them to come across as a loving couple. And I tried to start the book out with that, even with the opening introduction to them, where Sheryl is helping Ryan get dressed in the bathroom.
I saw that.
As I was writing the book, I was saying to myself, I'm going to write this scene as if it's me in the bathroom with my wife. And I'm nervous, and she's helping me get dressed. And I'm dealing with my ex at the front door, and she slips a gift into my back pocket so that I could turn around and give it to my ex. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I wanted them to be, because I think they're a regular couple. You know, their sexual orientation may be different, but this notion of writing gay characters to where they're all flamboyant and everybody's walking around acting like RuPaul, and I just don't think that's real. You know what I'm saying? These are regular folk. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to write this couple, whether you like the way they got together or not. I wanted to make them seem like an actual couple, because they are.
And that you did. And I saw it that way. I didn't see, because I just saw him as a man.
And that's the way you should see him. The hangups and the stigmas that surround this topic, it's not the gay community, it's everyone outside of it. We're the ones with the hangups, not them. So you should see him the way you see any man that gets caught cheating on his wife and gets divorced and then turns around, and the 50-year-old man that's got the 25-year-old little hottie turns around and marries her 6 months later. They're no different. They're no different. And any differences you see, quite frankly, I wanted to write this book in such a way and write these male characters in such a way that you get past the fact that they're gay and you focus on actions and attitudes.
That's what I did. You did it. You really did that, because I saw that even in him telling, I saw the child, and I'm thinking in my adult mind, why did he even say that? And I liked the way Melissa played that out, and how, it seemed like it was like for Ryan to say, this is my husband, and then for Sheryl to back it up with, why did you do that? Not that he wanted to be hidden, but just how malicious he was, and in saying so. And I knew he wanted to get it back. And then what Suni just saying it, this, with the telephone brought up the conversation. I'm glad that there was something there, for the reader to see, how did this conversation come up, and Sheryl knowing that conversation will come up. But I think that with that, and I say, I speak for myself as a female, of going back to what I was saying, that Sheryl got that title, and she was really livid, the fact that her daughter comes and say, my dad's husband, Sheryl is my dad's husband. And what I also like about Sheryl, again, like I said, I don't know if I was supposed to like him, but I really liked his character.
Let me jump in right there. Because the second time you said that, I don't know if I'm supposed to like Sheryl. That was by design. Honestly, I wanted readers to walk away conflicted about Sheryl. On one hand, you don't like how he got this man. But on the other hand, you notice throughout the book, he's the voice of reason.
Yes, he is.
So I purposely wrote that in such a way, quite frankly, I wanted you to be torn.
I was.
And the reason why is because I believe in the real world, that's how it goes down. You know what I'm saying? In the real world, the person who may have been the reason behind a divorce, meaning the outside person, once that couple starts to go at it, it is not uncommon for the outside person to be the peacemaker. So I am in no way suggesting that you should be Team Sheryl.
Yes.
That's not the way I write.
Right.
I just write characters and you draw your own conclusion.
Yeah. Everything that he did. I mean, Sheryl was not vicious. I'm glad he saw, I don't want to give it away, Ryan, for who he was, just doing things like when, backing Ryan up when he lost his job, it gave him the $10,000 in the savings account, just so if anything, in the event that he goes to court, that he has some kind of nest. And I was like, wow, something, that we would do, in a regular heterosexual couple, if that couple goes on. But it was just so much. That's why I was telling you this. You guys just really, really wrote these books, really had my head thinking. And I really like her dad, Guy. There was times that I like, and you showed how Ryan lost his parents, and pretty much Melissa's parent took him on, somewhat of a son prior to even marrying him, her. I like that. He could have been upset with him for the things that he did, that Ryan did to his daughter, but it was like he knew that his daughter was sick.
Right. He knew, look, he's going to be Team Melissa because that's his child. But he also recognized that his child has some stuff with her too.
Yes.
He recognized his child was a handful. At the end of the day, Guy, I tried to sum up Guy's position when he went to go see Ryan at his office, and they were talking,
Yes.
and he ended the conversation by telling him, look, I have no problem with you fighting for your daughter, your child. That's what you're supposed to do. But just don't fight like a bitch.
That got me. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Fight like a man. Don't fight like a bitch. Yeah. Because, I mean, that's, I hope that, that's the way that I tried to put myself in Guy's position. What would I say to Ryan? And that's what I would say. I am very pro fathers.
Yes.
I in real world, you're talking to someone who co-parented for 17 years. Everybody knows my story. It was the genesis of my first book. After 17 years, I found out that the child I had been co-parenting, I wasn't the biological father. DNA test proved I wasn't. So I went through baby mama from hell scenarios. I have always been an advocate for men's rights. I have always been one of these men, excuse my French, I just think it's bullshit. This notion that just because a woman carries a child for 9 years, she is, one, more entitled to that child, and two, automatically going to be a better parent. That's bullshit.
That's true.
It's bullshit. One, there would be no baby to carry if it wasn't for the male sperm. That's one. So that baby is just as much mine as it is yours. You were just the incubator. Let's not get it twisted.
That's true.
Two, gender does not dictate parenting skills.
That's right.
So I've always been an advocate for men. Not that they necessarily be the primary, but that they don't get treated like bystanders and walking wallets.
True.
You know what I'm saying? I chose Elaine to write the female version because Elaine is a divorcee. And she has 2 grown kids, but she divorced and she had 2 kids that she practically raised on her own. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I knew that Elaine would bring something to the story from a female perspective that I could not. Just like when it was time for me to make Ryan's arguments, I drew from my background. You know what I'm saying? But when it was time to write Guy's character, the dad, Melissa's father, I thought to myself, being an advocate of men fighting for their kids and having rights to their kids, I would not denounce this young man for fighting for his child because I would do the same thing. But what I would say to him is, fight like a man and not like a bitch. And I'm cringing every time I say that to you because I don't want you to take that the wrong way. I hope you get the essence of what I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I get it.
Don't fight like a man. Stop fighting like a little punk, doing all kind of shady, sneaky stuff like a punk. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, he was doing some shady stuff.
right.
And I
He
thought
was
it
on the
was
block
him.
and I was talking to my friends. I used some other language.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing some punk ass ish. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was all the man was saying to him in that meeting. And that's what I wanted to convey. And they took that meeting before Ryan pulled his head out of his butt
and
start fighting like a man.
Yeah.
Fair. Fight fair.
That's true. I seen how you had both of them, Ryan and Melissa. Melissa, I thought she could have did better when he said he was going to pick that. And this is a lot of times too, and you know, Brian, and like you say, you see in different things, we can be, as women, very vindictive, especially when it comes to using the child like a pawn. So I felt that, like her dad said, she should have told him that she wanted to go home when the pickup spot was at her dad's house. She didn't have to do that. She knew that she just felt like, let him come on my turf. And she could have did that a little better. But well, still,
I want, Elaine and I talked about that. What we didn't want to do, what we felt it was important to do, was to represent the characters that we were writing, but paint them in a light that was believable. So it's very easy when you're writing these type of books to where you become so pro your character that your character walks on water. And that was, we made a conscious effort to make sure that we showed our characters' flaws too.
That was good. That was good because we, like you say, we do look at the woman and the woman get all the rights to the child and everything. And it showed her wrong. It showed Melissa's wrong. She didn't have to do that. It's even going over to his house. She didn't have to do that. She could have just got the child. She didn't have to. I think that she egged that fight on. You know, it didn't have to happen that way. And so each one to its flawed, if you will, they played their flawed parts well. And it was not biases to see that. And you and Elaine, I tell you guys, those who are listening and those who have not read the book, I really have a special place for this book. I think it should be in a family welcome center on the shelf of court so that they can just kind of read and just kind of examine themselves as parents.
Yeah.
And then look at the child. Suni played her part as a child in writing this letter, and they both had to look at that letter. But Sheryl, I thought, Sheryl, I thought for sure, until I started glimpsing and following, as a reader, I kept following Sheryl more than I was following Ryan, because I liked his character and how he was about, I know he asked him, about kids. So it's always the person that does not have kids seem to have the most soft spot and seem to look better through the lenses of what's best for the child.
Well, that Sheryl was able to be objective because he wasn't as emotionally invested as the parents.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he could be objective. He could call bullshit on both sides. So I thought I added the Sheryl character because I thought it was important that there be it was a given that Melissa would have her parents to bounce stuff off of. I felt that Ryan's character needed somebody to bounce stuff off. So I didn't just have Sheryl be some character in the background that kind of started this mess. I wanted him to be a constant character and an intricate part of the story. Okay, well. So and like I said, I was not trying to win the reader over. I just wanted Sheryl to be the voice of reason. And if you still held a grudge against him for being the reason why this couple broke up, that's fine. That's fine. Like I did not try to sweep that under the rug. No, it is. And Melissa made it clear that, you know, you're on my shit list too. You're the reason we here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't play nice now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just thought it was important. Look, man, nobody walks on water. Even some of the people watching this. I know you may think you walk on water, but you got some warts too. You know what I'm saying? And my job as a writer is to point out the pros and the cons in all of the characters. No character walks around like a knight in shining armor with no flaws. That's just, I can't stand flawless characters.
Yeah. But
when I read books where the protagonist walks on water and never makes a mistake and never has a bad decision, I just roll my eyes like, yeah, this is bullshit. This is not how people really. We all, even in our best efforts with good intentions, sometimes the unintended consequences is that we hurt people.
That's true. And so there was a ray of Melissa opening her eyes when she saw how Sheryl just kind of took care of her daughter. Right. She just had to say thank you. You know, I don't like you, but because of my child and you're taking care of my child, and let it be what it is. But
that's why Elaine and I really we strive to look. We just, quite honestly, we wanted all of these characters to be flawed in some way. We just kind of we wanted to write a real book, a tension-filled book, and at the end of the book, we want the readers to argue and debate about what they would have done.
Yeah, you know what? I was going to say that. I read some of the some people reviews, and some of them felt like there was no closure. For me, there was a closure, and this is why I say there was a closure, Brian, because I felt, and you can help me along the way, I felt the way that you and Elaine wrote that book, it was us. We were the juries on the stand, and it was us to determine if we thought that they both going to co-parent, one of them get the child, one of them, don't get the child. But in my courtroom, it was like they both still co-parented, and it didn't matter if their lives was not back together, but love, that the child see love and see an environment that can be where she can not have to be torn, choose my mama, my daddy, but she still had both. That's what happened in my courtroom. To me,
the reason why we ended it that way was because, to me, that's real life. You know what I'm saying? In the real world, unless one of the parents dies, y'all gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Facts. And readers may be like, oh, I wanted her to go with the mama. I wanted her to go with the daddy. I write real books about real people.
Yeah.
And in the real world, if you ever been to family court, most of those judges are like, figure it out.
Yes.
Unless there is something egregious going on. Most of the family court situations I've seen, and hell, even been involved in, the judge's stance is usually figure it out. Yeah, so kind of wanted to wrap a book up. One of the biggest criticisms I received, I have emails from them. Those who've read my books know that like my MO, calling card, if you will, is kind of these surprise twist endings in a lot of my books. This book, we didn't focus on that. Just wanted to write a good book.
And that it was.
It wasn't about trying to come up with some, oh, snap, I ain't see that coming type ending. To me, that wasn't as important as just give them a good ending. Let's give them a good book. And I don't think all of that stuff is needed sometimes. If I didn't want it to be about the twist. I wanted it to just be about the topic.
Yeah, and that was good. And that's what some of them were saying, where's the twist and all that. And
because that's the gift and the curse of my writing career, is that my books, it has become a calling card. it's become something that I'm known for, having all these old crap moments. I didn't see that coming. And it's cool. It's been a blessing to me. It's helped me sell a lot of books. The flip side of that is people expect it in every book, even if the storyline isn't conducive to that. Sometimes the storyline just calls for a good ending. You ain't got to have nobody popping up out the floor and, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, oh, I thought this person was dead, came back to life. And, you know, and sometimes, but people don't like to let you do that. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't have that twist, then, oh, this book ain't like the rest of them. Sometimes readers, quite frankly, get on my nerve. You know what I'm saying? I love them, but sometimes they just get on my nerve.
We can get on your nerves.
Well, you would hope that people are savvy enough to understand the nuances of the story and be able to understand whether or not all of that pomp and circumstance is needed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Can't you not see that that's not necessary? The story was good without all of that. Just enjoy the story. Just enjoy the story.
So the books that I've read from you, Brown, if I say it right, Brown
Paperback.
And If These Trees Could Talk, and now this one. So the dynamics of all those three books are different. And I don't want to, as a reader, to put the author in some type of pigeonhole or some type of things. So from reading all that, I am a ride or die Brian W. Smith.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And I've seen this other book, I forgot the name of it, but it's a blue cover, Aminus or something. I don't know. Yes.
Aminus. That comes out next week.
Yeah. So I'm ready to get
Animus. That. Animus it's a form of hate. Animus.
I'm looking forward to that. So far, every book you've written, and I got a lot of them. I'll say about maybe 8 to 9 books that I have not read yet of yours that I just, oh, that's from Brian. I just grabbed it. I just grabbed it because I love your writing style. And so with this one, the one we're talking today, it really, if readers would just read it with a, you know how people say with an open mind or whatever, of what's going on now today. And in fact, with writing the book, we could look at it like maybe the time you wrote it, maybe it was just coming into same-sex marriage, you know, and now it's more like somebody read it right now today. It's like, oh, this is what happened. This is what people are doing.
It was around a time when many of the laws were being passed, and you know, they were given the right to marry in certain states and stuff like that. This book was released around that time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and so we can read it and we can see what's happening now. So I really like this book. Like I said, again, you and Brian, you and Melissa, y'all did the thing. Elaine, I'm sorry. I said Melissa because I was thinking about the play. You and, because she was the character writing, but I'm sorry about that. But you and Elaine really put, like you say, gumbo, you know, put your foot in there, a real foot, if you say. Yeah. And it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It is, I mean, I really like this. There was no predictions. I didn't know what, you know, I couldn't predict anything. And
well, the cool thing about it is that we couldn't predict it. You know, really, it wasn't scripted. You know, I've written my share of, I've co-authored my share of books, and those who know my writing style know I'm not really an outliner. You know what I'm saying? Like, every author has their own style. I know authors that will spend 6 months outlining a book. I got too many projects. When I'm not writing for myself, I'm ghostwriting books for other people. I'm writing movie screenplays. And when I'm not doing all that, I'm a college professor. I teach creative writing. I don't have the luxury of sitting around outlining a book for 6 months. So I just dive into it and start writing. And I like that because I think that I think that sometimes you can outline the creativity out of your work. Sometimes things just have to be organic. And I just think that my particular style, um, I produce a more authentic story, more emotional story if I just write it. If you sit down and you're outlining for 6 months, this chapter is going to go this way, and this chapter is going to do it. Before you know it, you're legislating all the creativity out of your work. So I just write. And with this particular project, I told Elaine, I said, just write, because Elaine's probably more of an outliner. And I told her, just write. And wherever you finish with your chapter, I will just pick up from there and I will write my chapter. So a lot of times I didn't know what I was going to write. I didn't know what I was going to write about until I got what she sent me.
Wow.
So she'll finish chapter 4. I got to write chapter 5. And I'm like, okay, let me see. How did she end chapter 4? What happened? Okay, what's natural after that? Okay, I'll have my character doing X, Y, and Z. Then I'll just write it. And then I'll send it back to her and she'll write her part. And when she sends it back to me, I'll be like, okay, so you went that direction with it, huh? Okay, I'll have my character do this, you know?
That really makes me appreciate it even more, Brian.
Yeah.
And there's a question on the board by Candace, from Candace. It says, what's the relationship between you and Elaine, and how many co-projects can we expect?
For those who weren't on, Elaine is the first author I ever signed to my publishing company. I used to own a publishing company back in 2005. I closed it down 2010, right after the economy collapsed, the recession. But Elaine was the first author I ever signed. Elaine Flowers, that's our relationship. We go back. She saw when my company first opened. And the first book she put out under my label was It's Morning. It's called a book called It's Morning by Elaine Flowers. It's a collection of short stories. And then she followed up with a book called Black Beauty. We put that out, and and which is about a woman who owns a beauty salon. And then the third and final book that she put out under my label was called Broken Appointments, which was the sequel to Black Beauty. Broken Appointments, beauty salon, people breaking their appointments, you get the correlation.
Yes.
So around 2010, I shut down the company. Elaine kind of went her own way, but we remain friends, keep in touch, etc. And that's my relationship with her. She's a good friend.
I'm definitely got to get those 3 books you just named for. Really, It's Morning. Is it like spelled morning, like you spelled morning?
It's a take on the old what's the sister's name? The sister was saying As We Lay, and the opening line.
Oh, okay. It's morning. Yeah.
It's morning.
Yeah. MORNING and not more
it's
like
morning.
that. Okay.
It's sort of a take on the opening line from the song As We Lay.
So you guys got that. It's Morning, Black Beauty, Broken Appointments by Elaine Flowers.
And she has one of her solo projects apart from me. Her most recent novel is called Bigamist. It's called Bigamist, and it's a story about a bigamist. That's actually one of the things I told her when she first came out with. I told her I was mad because I wish I would have thought of that. You know what I'm saying? So go check out Bigamist by Elaine Flowers as well.
Wow, you get a lot of hearts up here. And she said Shirley Murdoch.
Shirley Murdoch.
And then she's asking, Candace asks, where do you teach?
I teach at 2 colleges here in Dallas. I teach at Collin College. Collin College is a huge junior college system, community college system with about 25,000, 30,000 students, 4 or 5 campuses here throughout the Dallas area. And I teach at Dallas Community College, which is equally large, probably about 30, 40,000 students. And they have about 7 campuses throughout Dallas. I teach at the Richland campus for Dallas Community College, and I teach at the McKinney and the Plano campus for Collin College. So I'm a professor of creative writing at 2 universities here in Dallas.
Oh, wow. Your hands are full and manage to still write as well.
Yeah. I just opened up a company 6 months ago called the Script Repository, where I take authors' novels and I adapt them to screenplays so that they can pitch them to Hollywood. So yeah, my hands are and like I said, when I'm literally, as we speak, I am ghostwriting 2 novels and 3 screenplays.
Wow.
So I am literally 8 to 10 hours a day writing something for either myself or someone else.
Wow.
So I just don't have time to be doing all that outlining.
She said, Colin College, great job.
Thank you. Colin College. Yep. COLLIN. Yeah, very nice campuses. If you live in the Dallas area, people in Dallas know about Collin College.
So tell us what's up movie wise. We know what's dropping book wise, but those are just tell us what's going on.
A lot of things are going on. You mentioned If These Trees Could Talk, which is a book I wrote back in like 2011. If These Trees Could Talk has been converted to a screenplay and is being shot throughout Hollywood as we speak by my manager. Sleepy Carter Mystery Series. I write a mystery series called the Sleepy Carter Mysteries. That is sitting on the desk of a couple of major players in Hollywood. We're just waiting for the right offer and for the numbers to be right.
Mm-hmm.
And if God says the same, you'll be seeing the Sleepy Carter Mystery Series on somebody's cable channel. Hulu, Netflix, somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
My next novel, Animus, you can actually buy it right now. The ebook version comes out on 4th of July, but you can buy the paperback from either my website at www.authorbrianwsmith.com. I'll sign and autograph it and send it to you. Or if you want to buy a paperback, you don't care about the autograph, you can go on Amazon right now and buy the autograph copy. It's called Animus, and it is about a man who watched his father beat his mother throughout his entire life.
Mm.
His feelings for his father are so toxic. He just has a certain level of animus towards his father.
Mm-hmm.
So he leaves town. He meets the love of his life. It explains to his love of his life that he doesn't deal with his father. They have kids. He chooses not to tell his kids that his father is even alive. 10 years later, Hurricane Katrina blows through New Orleans. People are scurrying like roaches trying to get out of the city. There's a knock at the door. His daughter answers the door, says, Who is it? And the man says, I'm your grandfather.
Mm.
So now you're between a rock and a hard place because he's told his kids that the grandfather was dead.
Wow. And
the whole trick of the book, the whole nuance perspective of the book is that the wife basically tells the husband, don't be mean. Mm-hmm. Because he's wealthy. He's an entrepreneur, has several businesses. They have a huge house in Dallas, $500,000 house in Dallas. And the wife says, we've been blessed with so much. This man has lost everything in Hurricane Katrina. You may be angry at him about what he did to your mother, but right now he's here. We have room. Let him stay here to get on his feet. Mm. And once he moves in, he is not the man that the dad described. He's the perfect granddaddy.
Wow.
He's the perfect father-in-law when everyone's around. And as soon as his daughter-in-law and his granddaughters are no longer in the house, he basically torments his son the way he did when he was a child. You know what? You're doing well. You're doing well, but you still ain't shit. Woo! So the whole back and forth of this book is that whenever the wife and kids come around, the dad is like he hasn't changed. That's what the dad is saying. about the grandfather. And they're saying, you're just being mean. And the grandfather's kind of sitting there smirking.
Wow.
Because that evil that was in him when they were young, it is still there. As a matter of fact, it's more mature and more savvy. So I'm not going to tell you guys.
I can't wait.
I got to go tell you guys. But let's just say this. It is a cat and mouse game throughout the whole book.
Yeah.
Where you have this man trying to convince anyone who would listen that this guy is just as evil as he was when I was a child. And everyone's looking at him like, no, you're just being bitter and mean. Because what you're describing is not what we see.
Wow. If you have it in your time, we know we have to read that. I know you're busy.
Go check out Animus. Go check out Animus when you get a chance. You can buy it right now on Amazon. Go check it out. I think that you guys are going to enjoy it. I think it's, you know, and if you haven't read Paperback, go check out Paperback. That came out last year as well. So yeah, those are my two most recent books.
I just love your writing. Candace got another question for you. She say, are you writing any YA or MG books? I'm not sure what MG means. You might know. But I know what YA means.
Yeah, YA is young adult, and there's so many sub genres. I can't even off the top of my head remember what MG means. But I usually stay away, quite frankly. I stay away from YA unless I'm ghostwriting for someone and they've kind of provided me an outline with what they want in their book. But me as a writer, I tried to write some YA, and quite frankly, it flopped. Yeah, I had this thing about 5 years ago. I called the Boy to a Man series, and every it was about these four boys, these four best friends, and each one of them had a book after them, and each one of them had real life problems. One was a 17-year-old daddy. He impregnated a girl, and as someone who was a daddy at 17, the book is designed to state the realism of being a daddy at 17. You know, and one book was about a young man who, one of the friends who was also 17, had to watch his stepfather beat up on his mom. How did he deal with that? So every book, quite frankly, was peeled from layers of my life and poured into each of the four characters, and I wrote 4 separate books.
I don't see why that should have flopped unless they wasn't ready for real.
You know what? I don't curse in it. I didn't curse in it, so you know, I didn't use the same type of language. But you know,
is it around or is just the flop?
I took it off the market and everything.
Okay.
But I mean, man, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I've sold a lot of books that flopped, and it was a surprise to me because I thought the concept was great. I thought it was real.
Yeah, that's real.
You know, I thought it was real, something that people can actually use with their kids.
That's what's healing right there. To me, that was some healing.
It didn't do well. I'm just keeping it real with you. It didn't.
Okay.
So So after the first book, when the first book didn't sell, it's crazy because the book debuted in the YA genre at the #1 spot, bestseller spot. It debuted. But I think that was just off the strength of my reputation. The sales quickly plummeted, and I have too much on my plate, and it takes too much time to write that stuff, to be writing stuff that people aren't going to read. You know, I don't have so many hours of the day. So I decided not to, I just decided not to do that. So Candace, that's a long way of giving you an answer. No, I don't write YA, but I tried to explain why I don't.
That was good. She said that MG was middle grade.
Middle grade. So you know I don't write it. I didn't even know what MG meant.
Yeah. Well, this is our time, Brian. Thank you so much.
No doubt. I appreciate. Look, I appreciate you, Ellen. I for those of you who have read Disjointed Custody, please go out there and leave a review. Reviews matter.
Yes.
Go to Amazon and Goodreads, whatever, and post a review. And if you like my writing, go pick up my 2020 bestseller, paperback. And go pick up my book that drops next week. You can get it right now. It's called Animus, Animus.
Definitely getting it, Brian. It is going to be on my shelf.
Thank you very much, Ellen. I appreciate you for having me on and just supporting me. And I'm forever grateful and thankful. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for always coming back. You know, I got to pull you back if you're not
No
busy.
doubt, no doubt. You know, I'm a phone call away.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, I appreciate you.
You are so welcome, guys. Again, tonight we had Brian W. Smith, and go out and get that book. That book is very compelling. I just can't say no more. You got to read it for yourself. It is a page turner, Disjointed Custody. All I can say is you guys, you wrote that book.
Thank you.
You both, y'all wrote that book. You did the thing. You did it. And that, I told you, is my #1 book of the year. This is my #1 book of the year.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a blessing. It was a blessing working with Elaine. And I'm just glad you guys like it. Disjointed Custody is what we've been talking about tonight. Go check it out.
Yes.
Just it's Kramer versus Kramer meets War of the Roses, but with Black folk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go check it out.
A great, and
Ellen,
also
go ahead, babe. I'm sorry.
And also thank you so much for helping us as readers. I must speak for myself, to see different family dynamics and to see what really goes on through the eyes of you being the writer of that character, Sheryl, and the whole dynamics of the father, everything. Although Liz didn't say too much, the mom Liz, she didn't say too much. She was in the background, but when she wanted something to pop off, it popped off. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I just tried to, the book is purposely written in first person so that you can get into the minds of each individual character. You know, if you want to tell a broader story, most of my books are written in third person omniscient, so that you can see all these different characters and these moving parts. But with this book, chose to write in first person limited, which means that every chapter is designated to a character, and in that chapter you got that character's perspective.
And also I did an oversight with Ryan's parents. I love the way you did that, and how what they just gonna have to read them themselves. They're gonna have to read how the blackmail played down, you know, how they were trying to blackmail their son. That was good.
And what I wanted to do with that part was I wanted to highlight the challenges. I'm not gay, but I'm a 51-year-old grown man. I've been around the block. I've seen some things. And I have 2 sons, 2 adult sons. I would always support my sons. Let me say this. But I'd be lying through my teeth if I sat here and told you that I wouldn't be taken aback if my sons came to me and said, you know, I'm gay, and this is what I want. This is what I want to do. And the daddy in me, the loving daddy, would be, I support you. The man who has this idea since they were born that I'm going to raise these 2 kings, and they're going to be, all these ideas that we have about our sons, I would be lying to say I wouldn't be taken aback. I'd get over it. But when I'm not, I mean, this notion that that the daddy in particular is just on the bandwagon, it's just like, oh yes, son, that's not how it really works. So when I wrote it, you spoke of Ryan's parents. I wanted to show that. You know what I'm saying? That yes, there are some parents that will get with the program and support their kids, but there are also some parents that won't be able to hide their disappointment.
Yes.
And I wanted his parents to be that way. Polar opposites to Melissa's parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to write layered books, man, with complex characters.
That was good.
Yeah.
Brian, you know, I can keep you here all night.
No doubt. No, and look,
I
actually, the minute I hang up with you, I have to get on another Zoom call with another book club. So we're wrapping up just in time. The next one starts in 10 minutes. Ellen,
Okay.
I appreciate you. Thanks again. And if you need me, I'm a phone call away. Okay,
thank you so much.
No problem.
All right. Good night, Brian. I'll give you this SoundCloud when it loads up.
All right. Y'all be good.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you guys again. That was Brian W. Smith. That was our guest for tonight. Stay tuned, guys. We have quite a few. That was our last spotlight for June. And so get ready, guys. Our next coming up, it's poetry. And it is by, I'm going to show you guys the book. It is by Sheryl A. Jones. This is her book here. Hopefully you guys can see it. And Sheryl A. Jones, her book here, it reflects our Black culture. Also, she talks about Black Lives Matter. She says that all lives matter, but Black lives are the most targeted. And so she tells us, in this poem, you guys will see, she does keep it real. She keep it real and let us know about some things that we as a people of color, what we had to go through, and to not be ashamed of those who paved the way, like blackface and those people who were on TV and when they wouldn't let Blacks get on TV and how they paved the way. So this is a wonderful poetry book. So Sheryl A. Jones, she will be, I'm sorry, let me bring it up a little bit more. She will be our next spotlight, which will come, let's see, the lighting is so much. It will, yeah, I think I got it right now. This will come July 1st. So stay tuned for that. And then we have a children's book here. This is our next spotlight. This will be July 8th. And this is Clea's Glory Young. This book, I love this book cover. This is a hand guide book that teaches us. The book is The Adventure, the Airport Adventures. It teaches us how to be, to put our children awareness of airport safety. And there's some role play in here that parents can join together. Do not try to read this like a novel. This is like an activity that you can do as a family and to teach your children about safety, code words, and different things like that, and how to have access safety risk by scanning your environment. So this is a really, it's the graph is very good. The kids will love those pictures. Let me see if I can bring it back and bring it up. Yeah, I think we can see it there. The children will love this book and to do activities. This is a parent interaction book. And then also, this is our novel coming up. This is our June 13th, I'm sorry, July 13th. So that was just, this is all the month of July. So that first book I showed you, Keeping It Real, is July 1st. The second book I showed you is July 8th. And this is July 13th, I'm sorry. We do have a July 15th, but I'll show you guys that later. But July 13th, we're gonna have Nakia Cherie. She's a Essence magazine bestselling author, and in this book, it's one of the it's a spin-off of A Heated Situation. This is the full-length novel sequel to the riveting novella of Hostel. So you'll see this here. The main family here is the Scott family, and you have Agent Gregory Clemens, and he is trying to he's trying to disturb this family, And I'll just say here, it's a year after a near fatal hostage, a negotiation that shook the foundation of the Scott family, what once was tightly knit union is now in shambles. So be on the lookout for that main character there, Agent Gregory Clemens. And also there's Ava's husband, Kenneth. So stay tuned for that. And this was a movie, by the way, Hostile. So that was a little short film that they did. And also this is our book of the month. You guys may have seen this. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about the first, because it's 5 women in this book, 5 biblical characters: Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary. So we're going to talk about these women, these 5 characters. We were going to talk about this whole book. This is actually our May book, but it's real thick, and we wanted each woman to have their own voice. So we didn't want to lump those women together. So on the 29th of this month, we will talk about Tamar's story. So y'all keep it locked. Again, I'm Ellen Sutter, the ESP Presents. If you are an author and you want your book to be on our platform, do check yourself here in this video, or messenger us on Instagram or Facebook, and we will reach out to you. And if you want to have a show with us, we'll work those things out. If not, we always say next. So again, I'm Ellen Sutter of ESP Presents and ESP Book Chat. Thank you again to Brian W. Smith with his book titled Disjointed Custody. Tonight was a wonderful chat, as always, guys. Thank you for being out here. Thank you for every share. And good night to all you guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you.